you can't just sit down and say, okay, this is who I'm going to be and write that out. That's really not the smartest way to go about a brand. The best way to do it is
Today, I'm super excited for my interview with weight loss expert, social media lover, branding wizard, fit life motivator, and my friend Natalie Jill in her home in San Diego, California. Natalie Jill is well known for her amazing abs, her functional body weight training, and gluten-free nutrition. And today we talk about how she turned her life around, how she overcame her struggles, and is a huge inspiration to others. Natalie is a licensed master sports nutritionist, a functional fitness trainer. She's been featured in numerous magazines including Shape, Women's Running, and Oxygen, and she's the creator of Rev 4, 7-Day Jumpstart, 4-Week Jumpstart, the Mind Body Academy, and Pinfinity. Natalie is all about helping people reach their goals through the right mindset. When I found out her favorite saying is, excuses or solutions, you decide, I knew I had to sit down with her to learn more of how she is now living a life that she loves, a life by her design. Natalie helps to empower women all over the world to get over whatever it is trying to hold them back so they can be happy, be healthy, and be fit. So join me today to get to know Natalie Jill. Natalie, thank you so much for being on my show today and for having me here in your home in San Diego.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yay! It's so cool being here because, you know, I follow you, of course, on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and your blog, everything about you. And, you know, you do your videos here and it's just cool to be like, oh my gosh, this is where all of it happens.
Where it all happens.
Oh my gosh. And your view is amazing and your dog is just as cute as all of the pictures. So I'm so excited to, you know, talk with you today. And so thanks again. So a few weeks ago, I had the honor of hearing you speak at a conference, and I've known you for a while, and I've known you through, you know, health and fitness and everything, but you shared your story up there, and I was seriously like so moved, not to be cheesy, but I was just so inspired at the same time. Like, you're so real and genuine, and when you shared your story of where you've been and everything that you've been through and how you've come to where you are today, super successful and such a great role model to a lot of people. Will you please share that story with everyone today?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll back up a little bit. I mean, I'm 43 now, and when
43? Wow.
When I was in my 20s, I was definitely the person who was pretty self-righteous about everything. I had the great career. I had what looked like the perfect life. I mean, and I had this attitude about, you know, gosh, no one should be in debt and everyone should be successful and it's easy. And I really took a lot of that for granted because I really hadn't faced any hardships or been through a lot till that point. I had a good family being raised. I always had the good job, and I just assumed that anyone can do that. Right. And where that all changed for me is when I got married in my early 30s, and I all of a sudden realized that I was living what appeared to be this perfect life, but it just really wasn't. And what I would say about that is I feel like I got married to somebody who was my best friend at the time, but maybe it wasn't the smartest choice of what happened there. And this was a mutual agreement with us, so it's not just Natalie bashing things at all.
Right.
But things started to just really spiral downhill for me. I was somebody who was self-righteous and had this great job, and all of a sudden I was in a financial nightmare. I found myself going through a divorce. I found myself losing my house, losing my credit, becoming a newly single mom. And it was truly the first time in my life that I had started to tumble down to this rock bottom place. And I realized then how contagious that energy can be. So when you're expecting your life to be well and good and happy, you know, you just keep going in that direction. And what was happening to me is it was just sort of one bad thing after the next. And I just found myself getting out of control, and I couldn't seem to get a break. And I remember being so depressed, and I've told this story, and people seem to really relate to this story, but I remember being pregnant specifically, and I had these 2 white labs, and I lived in this nice neighborhood everyone thought was so perfect, And I remember I was just starting to go through this really bad financial mess where I couldn't afford my mortgage anymore, and I knew I wasn't in a good marriage and I had to get out, and that all this stuff was just going wrong in my life. And I remember walking my dogs pregnant, knowing I had to get on an airplane the next day for a job that was not going well for me either.
Right.
And being just so sad and thinking, oh my gosh, you know, anyone that sees me right now would think I have this perfect life because it looks like it. You know, I'm pregnant, I've got the dogs, I'm in this nice neighborhood, but they have no idea that I have this incredible amount of debt and sadness, and that I feel so alone. And was I going through the worst problem in the world? No, not at all. But it was really a hard spot for me.
Right.
I really, for the first time, truly felt alone and scared and stuck and didn't know what to do. I didn't even recognize myself.
Wow.
So when I had my daughter, things just got a little bit worse. I was so happy to be a mom, and now I just realized things are really bad, and I have to fix this. And I was so depressed. And anyone, I don't know if you've ever gone through a depression, but anyone that's gone through a depression, sometimes you don't even know you are depressed when you're in it. You just know something's not right.
Right.
And I didn't want the help. I just wanted to be by myself.
Yeah.
And I honestly think I just carried on because of my daughter, because I knew I just had to for her.
Yeah.
And I just remember being really scared and alone. And the turning point for me was I was walking. I had gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant. Now, granted, I did eat a lot of food when I was pregnant.
How much did you gain?
From where I started pregnant, 50 pounds, but 60 pounds more than I am now. So
I was 65 more than I am
So,
today.
and I mean,
wow, we like to eat when we're pregnant.
I did.
I'm just kidding.
I ate a lot of McDonald's French fries. I'm not
I
gonna
did
lie,
too.
and chocolate fudge sundaes.
That's
and the
so
whole,
weird.
The whole bit. It
The
just made
body,
me feel.
yeah, so crappy.
So
Okay.
my face was like big as a house.
my gosh,
In
that's
fact, I
funny.
remember one of my friends that I would meet for lunch all the time would constantly be like, "Whoa,
Oh
you're."
my God.
I was pretty big pregnant, and so I had my daughter, and I was already depressed about everything. And I remember walking, and I had one of those strollers that I wasn't supposed to work out yet or anything, and I was just walking up the hill, and I caught a glimpse of myself in those windows where you see your reflection like a mirror.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even believe what I was looking at. And it just, the instant thought that went to me was, well, I guess that's what happens. You know, you have a baby and things don't go back, and just, you lose it. And
Right.
I don't know. But something happened on that walk. I got home, and I decided right then and there that I was done being depressed and out of control and not having money and just being miserable. I was just done.
Yeah.
So I went back to what I used to teach in sales training about the whole law of attraction and goals and vision boards. And at this point, I was so down that I thought maybe what I was teaching was baloney. You know, I don't even know. But something in me had just had enough, and I decided. And I said, I always say to people now, the first step in any transformation or in any change is deciding. You have to decide. If you can't decide, then you've got nothing.
Right.
So I created a vision board. And it's funny because I still have this vision board.
That's
and
cool.
For those of you that don't know what a vision board is, you can do it from the internet or magazines or whatever, but I just took a bunch of magazines and I just started tearing out anything that was appealing to me. An ocean view, having financial security, having a happy relationship, having a good relationship with my daughter. And I put on there pictures of fitness girls. I don't know why, but I wanted to get my body back. And I thought, So I created this vision board, and I put it someplace where I would see it every day. And I just decided that if I keep envisioning this every day and I just keep moving towards this life that I want, that I would eventually get there.
So cool.
And that's literally how I started. That was the beginning of my change. That was the beginning of it.
That is so cool. Just at that moment, you knew something has to be different here. I'm not happy the way I am. That is so cool. I'm a firm believer in vision boards, dream boards. I just did mine. So something about looking at it, it's like you attract it and all of that good stuff. But that is so cool.
Well, and it's a lot of people now, they'll say to me, oh, you know, you have always been fit, or they don't know, or you've always been okay, or it's easy to be in shape if that's your job, or what they don't realize is that at this point, I had no money. Not only did I not have any money, I had this ridiculous amount of debt, and I had no credit. All my credit cards had been shut off because I couldn't pay my mortgage. So I did not have money, and I definitely didn't have time. I had this job that I was supposed to travel, and I had to take a demotion so I could deal with being with my daughter. So I was making less money now, and even though it was a good living, it did not compare to what I had created expense-wise.
Right. And it wasn't always your job. It was something that you became really passionate about, right? And then and
then now I was in this place I didn't want to be doing it.
Right.
So now as a single mom, no money, really stressed, really depressed, no friends really. I mean, I had friends, but not nobody that could really help me in this point. And I was, divorced now, going through divorce. I felt truly alone. So but I started the vision board, and I just started moving in the direction I knew. I started studying up on fitness and nutrition. Now, it was always a passion of mine, but I pulled back the stuff out. I'm like, what? I'm going to get recertified. I'm going to learn this stuff. And it started as me taking pictures of my food. To be accountable to myself, really, I'm going to take pictures of my food with my BlackBerry. I didn't have an iPhone.
That's awesome.
This is BlackBerry they had from work. And I would post them on my private Facebook.
Okay.
That was it. And what happened was people started asking me about my food, and I was just real. I just shared what I was doing, how I felt. I didn't worry for the first time in my life about what anyone else thought. I just didn't care. I was like, I'm working towards this. I'm gonna.
For you.
Yes, for me. And my body started to change, and I started to document it and share it, and people wanted to know, what are you eating? How do you put this together? So I created my first ebook out of my BlackBerry pictures.
That is so awesome. Okay, so you have celiac. So you found a lot of different things that were helping you, and then you wanted to share it with people.
So I've had celiac for years. Celiac is an autoimmune disease where your body doesn't recognize gluten. Most people think of gluten as just this trendy thing right now, but there are people, there's a small percentage of us that really can't have gluten, will get very sick. So back when I was diagnosed with celiac, no one really knew what gluten was or what that was all about. So it was hard to navigate initially, to know. Now I kind of laugh at the whole, what do I eat? Because when you can't have a gluten-free diet, it's really not that hard, and I'll explain why. When you eat an unprocessed food diet, foods that once grew or had a mom, so think plant, fruit, fruits, vegetables,
animal,
protein, that is gluten-free by nature. Like if it's not processed, it's gluten-free. But now when I was pregnant and going through my depression, I didn't care about eating an unprocessed food diet. I did not eat gluten, but I was eating gluten-free junk, and I gained a lot of weight. So I am very much of the mentality, and my slogan is excuses or solutions, you decide. That is my saying. I love that saying because I've been in the excuse zone, and I also know what it's like to be in the solution zone. So whether it's the celiac or getting out of the debt problem or depression or anything, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. I'm not saying it's not going to have, challenges and steps, but there is a solution. You just have to decide you're going to look for it. You have to. And I always tell people, I'm happy to help anybody as long as they're working towards solutions. But I can't stand when someone just dumps a bunch of excuses on me. Because unless they come with their proposed solution, I don't want to help them because they're not ready to be helped.
Or they're willing to ask for help and do the work and what it takes to get out of that situation.
Because when I was going through my depression, me wallowing in my excuses wasn't going to help me. And if anyone had just listened to my excuses and let me convince them, that wouldn't have helped me either. It took me deciding to look for solutions. It really did.
Deciding. You just said the word deciding. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. I know that people watching this will definitely relate because a lot of people have situations in their life. They might be like yours. They could be something different where they just feel helpless and they feel like, this is just the life that I'm going to live, but they're miserable. So it's so cool that you can give that hope where people can make a change. And they might not walk by the mirror and see themselves, but inside their gut and in their heart and in just everything, they're like, I need a change. So I love that. I love that you made it through. Oh my gosh.
When I started changing, I made a goal. I'm like, I'm gonna be on the cover of some magazines. I'm gonna be a fitness model.
I love it. I love it.
I laugh now at that because really that's not a great goal to have. Unless you want to make $100.
Yeah, but you put it out. You put it on those boards. You got to put that big stuff out
I think
there.
anyone I told that to laughed at me. At the time, I was 39 when I was saying this. I'm like, a fitness model.
So awesome.
And I did it. I did my goal. I was on a cover of 5 magazines that year.
Amazing.
But I really truly, if I at 39 could be on the cover of a magazine, then I think anyone can get their goals.
Right,
They can.
right.
Anyone can get their goals.
Oh, that's so awesome. So you made me think of something. Obviously, you put in work to look the way you do, to learn everything you know that you've done, so that you could share it with people. So what kinds of things, once you went and got your certifications, up to date, and you worked on all that, what made you decide to do like all of the body weight things that you do, which is so cool? I just am amazed at like those abs and that body, all of the body weights and the rings and everything. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like how'd you decide your niche?
The thing with anyone that wants to make a change or do anything, you can't just sit down and say, okay, this is who I'm going to be and write that out. That's really not the smartest way to go about a brand. The best way to do it is just to truly be you and be authentic and real and share you and not try to be someone else, because those people are already taken. You can't be somebody else. So I always think it's funny when someone says, I'm going to be just like you, or I'm going to be the next, insert name here.
Yes.
It's about being your authentic self and sharing more of that and finding others that can relate to what you're doing.
Yes.
And for me, I was just being real. I shared what I was eating. I shared what I was doing. I shared my story. I shared all of that. And through that process, I was having a lot of lower back pain, which is common with women. We wear heels, you have a baby, whatever it is. You get this anterior pelvic tilt and you get lower back pain. So I wanted to learn how to correct that, and through that process I learned to train differently. So I really got interested in functional fitness training, which for the most part is your own body weight.
Right.
So that sort of evolved, and just me sharing what I was doing, people were interested in that. So it wasn't that I sat down and said, okay, what's something unique I could do? It was never that. I was sharing what I was doing, and it evolved. And that's why I do that.
Right?
And I don't just share body weight, but it's primarily.
But that's something that people can do at home. They could watch your, your videos that you share and do it. And I think that you giving all of that to people is just such a cool thing. And you're just genuinely being like, this is what has worked for me. I love that so much.
And I constantly advise people to do that. You share what you're doing authentically. You're real. Don't try to be anyone else.
No.
And when people are interested in it, listen to that and listen to what else they want, which is interesting because I started all this with fitness and nutrition, and now I have people asking, well, gosh, how'd you build your social media? How'd you do this? So I'm like, interesting. Okay, I'll share that now.
Right.
So I've even sharing more of the business development stuff, and that's because of that. Because if you really listen to your audience and you evolve that way, that's how to build a brand.
Right. So speaking of building a brand, where do you find most of your, like following or the traffic and how do you run your business mostly? Which platform?
Yeah, I would say social media is huge for me. It started with Facebook and then evolved to Instagram and then YouTube. I would say Pinterest by far is my absolute favorite. It's the least amount of work and it has the biggest reach because I'm able to leverage my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube, everything from my Pinterest account. And it's funny because if you look at numbers, I have over 500,000 followers on Facebook, over 500,000 on Instagram. Pinterest, I have less. That's a much lower number, but I get more traffic to my website on Pinterest than anything.
So you've had all these great results from Pinterest, just like your workout programs. People are asking and everything. So you have done all of the research and you figured out how to really use Pinterest to its best way, right?
Yeah.
And so now you have made it into such an awesome program. I just have to say, Pinfinity.
Thank you.
It's called Pinfinity, and it is just so cool that you are teaching this to other people.
Yeah.
I just thank you for that because you've done the work and figured it out.
Well, one thing I learned about social media, social media is fun and it can be addictive, but it's also a lot. To do it right, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
To do it right, it's a lot of work.
Right.
And I feel with Pinfinity, when I'm teaching there, it's what other people don't want you to know, is that you don't have to do all this work. There is an easier way. So it's, with social media, you have to keep up with so much, and it changes, and it's the constant, I need more content, and I need to post this frequently, and then I call it the content value over time, that when you post something on Twitter, it's there for a second, right?
Yeah.
Instagram, it's there in the feed for an hour.
Right.
Facebook, it's just, everything goes away. With Pinterest, And when you tie it to other stuff, you've got the whole, I call it pinfinity, because there's this infinity effect where your stuff just gets better over time.
So you have seriously just like inspired me so much. I mean, from first finding out about you, I'll never forget one of my friends was like, you have to find out about Natalie Jill. You have to see this girl. And, you know, of course I was like, oh, her body's beautiful, but to get to know you is so great.
Thank you.
You are seriously really awesome person and dedicated mom, which is great. I like hanging out with people who, you know, have the same values and everything. And even though we are moms and we've been through crap, we can still go and make a life for ourselves. Yeah. So, I mean, how does that feel to be like, you know?
I don't even think of it as like a huge accomplishment or anything like that. I really don't. I just, my message to everybody else is that like anything that you want to accomplish, like if you want to be your best you, like you can do that. It's it's deciding. And then it's sticking to being your authentic self. As soon as you find yourself wavering or saying, I might try, you've lost it right there. Try it. You got to commit and you got to decide. Yeah. My advice to everybody is if you want to make a change, decide and just start sharing what it is that makes you special.
That's so
It's
awesome.
as simple as that.
I like that. I think a lot of people think exactly what you said. I need to do exactly what she's doing and he's doing, and then you get lost, and then you're like 20 different people rather than making life easy and just like this is
never
me.
go wrong that way.
Right. And then how cool is it that to make your, you know, your passion into really your purpose. I know a lot of people use that saying, but it's so true that look how many people's lives you are now improving because you've decided to get better yourself and be yourself again, you know.
And that makes me feel good that people can learn from that.
Oh, it's so awesome. I mean, a lot of the times probably through your divorce you probably lost a bit of yourself and then maybe, I mean, did you like find yourself again through all of this?
I think what I learned was
better?
I spent my whole life trying to be something, trying to be what I thought I was supposed to be, and it was in those raw moments when I was really down and truly just being myself, I learned that that's what works.
That's so
is
awesome.
like if you can just be yourself, that is your calling, your passion. Like if you, whatever it is, if you like to fish all day, my gosh, fish all day
and
then.
teach people how to fish better.
Yeah, just start sharing what you're doing. Like it doesn't matter what
That's
it
true.
is.
It doesn't have, even though we're talking fitness and we love health and fitness, doesn't mean the people watching need to feel like they need to teach fitness or take pictures of their food. Whatever they're passionate about.
And it's just like if someone says, oh, you're moving over now to branding and business. I'm not moving over. It's part of who I am.
Right.
I'm sharing more of who I am. So as long as you stay to sharing what you're doing, it always is going to work with your brand.
That really struck me though, that you're not trying to become like the next because everyone, you know, someone else is doing it. No, you've evolved into this, learned it, and now you're sharing it once again, which is so cool. Yeah. Love it. Natalie, I love everything you shared.
Thank you.
And I love that you are authentically you, and I can just like feel it talking with you, and I've just really learned a lot from you, and I'm super motivated to go and be me more.
Oh, you
know?
are you. Molly is you. You are you.
But you know, sometimes it's like there's so much going on in the world. It's like, oh my gosh, sometimes a lot of us compare ourselves to other people where really we just need to say, hey, I'm going to go out every day and just be my best self.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
God, I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time and letting me come into your house to do this and enjoy your beautiful view and everything. Gosh, it's so awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yay. Wasn't that awesome today hearing from Natalie Jill? I am so happy that she allowed me to come to her house in San Diego and talk with her and interview her and to get to know her better. She is just an awesome example of someone who is genuinely herself and has found her passion and is living it every day and helping people and has figured out things, and she's willing to share it with all of us. I'm so excited that we got to spend time with her. I love her saying, excuses or solutions, you decide. And of course, I love that she told us to be who we are and embrace who we are and share it, you know? Stop trying to be somebody else. So I hope that you were motivated today. Be sure to check out the link below so that you can go and find all of the places where Natalie is. She's everywhere, and she's out there sharing so much with us. We are so blessed, and be sure to check out the Pinfinity. Oh my gosh, that is going to be so amazing. She is going to help you rock your business. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.